And now, BillyCBoxing.com presents Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down with Billy C. Here he is, Billy C.
Thank you, Jeremy C. We're coming at you from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for BillyCBoxing.com's Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down for professional boxing for today, July 18th in the year 2012. Short and sweet today, man. Short and sweet. I actually only have one thumbs up and one thumbs down. Thumbs up goes to all the boxing fans that truly understand and appreciate the history of this game of boxing, because they are boxing's future. And what I mean by this is that, you know, if you understand, if you're a boxing fan and you truly understand the history, where the sport came from, where it should be heading, where it is heading, you know, what makes a good fighter, what makes a bad fighter, and to respect all fighters, whether they have a good record or not, you're the future of this sport. And I have to give you a thumbs up, because the majority of so-called boxing fans don't really appreciate the history part. They only look at what's happening now. And to truly put the sport of boxing in perspective, you need to know the history. Now, there's not video available for all the great fighters that fought back in the day prior to the advent of or invent of cameras and photos and everything else. So that means you have to do what they call, what's that word? Oh, yeah, read. You have to pick up a book and read. Maybe you should do that. There's plenty of books under the Billy C Book Club that are great reads for boxing fans that are looking to become a little more well-rounded and learn a little more about the previous boxing greats that you may not know about, and even great fighters who there are footage of, guys like Sugar Ray Robinson and Rocky Marciano and Jersey Joe Walcott and Jack Dempsey and even early footage of greats like Joe Gans and Jack Johnson and fighters along those lines. Even that footage is very hard to understand how great they were because of the way it was filmed. So you can't put your emphasis always on film footage or photos or what have you. You have to read the actual accounts. Do yourself a favor. Pick up a book and start reading about it. You have to understand the history of the sport. And those that do, I give a thumbs up. Thumbs down goes to one thing only today. And that's NBC. That's right. The National Broadcast Company, their manager or their head honcho, the big cheese, the big suit over there, Jonathan Miller, who's the head of NBC Sports, he put out a request to the ABC, which stands for the Boxing Commission, the American Boxing Commission, which oversees all of the boxing commissions in the United States. And at this point in time, it's a voluntary organization, although they all belong to it. And the ABC puts things in place like the ABC rules and this and that, and all the commissions agree to follow it, like they all agree to follow a suspension. If you're in one state and you suspend a fighter, well, a part of the ABC is that you're going to recognize the suspension in another state. So the ABC has done a lot of good things for the sport of boxing. However, if they support NBC with their recent request, not only am I going to get sick, but I'm going to totally do what I can to publicize the fact that this is a huge mistake. Jonathan Miller from NBC Sports has requested that the time in between rounds of a professional prize fight go from 60 seconds, which incidentally, it's been in our rule book for well over 100 years, to 67 seconds. Now, the reason he's given is several. Number one, he feels that in order for them to continue to show professional boxing on their network, they need to retain sponsorship. And in order to retain sponsorship, they have to make sure that they get their 30 seconds in. And by doing that, and by only having 60 seconds in between rounds, that means they do not have the ability to tell their story, as Jonathan Miller put it. And telling their story is their announcing team, and they want to be able to show replays and have the announcers give their thoughts and all of that. The other thing that they've done is they've tried to make it like the boxer will benefit from this, saying that if there's more sponsorships and more money, the boxers will get more money. Okay? And thirdly, they compare it to other sports like NFL football, Major League Baseball, hockey, and, of course, the NBA, basketball, that they have all made adjustments to their games to be more television friendly. Well, here's my thoughts, and I hope you share them. Number one, okay, make no mistake, this whole thing is a smokescreen. It's a smokescreen, okay? That's number one. Number two, the fighter will not benefit 1 penny from this. Because if all of a sudden this goes from 60 seconds to 67 seconds, the fighters that appear on this network aren't going to immediately make more money. I can guarantee you that. All right? So it's not for the good of the fighter. As far as the comparison to the other major sports, here's one little piece of that puzzle that Jonathan Miller left out. These teams that do this and these organizations that support these teams, like the National Football League, the NFL, or the National Basketball Association, the NBA, are leagues. They've signed long-term commitment deals with television. It's called revenue share. And those players, because of the collective bargaining agreements that each of them have with their respective leagues, with the players, share in that money that comes in from the television contracts, not the advertisers, but the television contracts. The television networks pay the NFL and et cetera, to have the rights to broadcast their shows. And then the NFL splits up that revenue between the teams, and it ultimately goes down to the players because of the collective bargaining agreements, similar to the other leagues that we mentioned. Do you think for a minute that the fighters would be able to share in this revenue? No, they're not. And as far as telling the story, don't you think that that's the problem with the way broadcasts are done today? That the announcers are getting a little too much, that the show is being about them? And don't you agree that we don't need to be told the story of what's going on in a boxing event? The story is unfolding before our eyes. Don't we all have the intelligence to watch it ourselves? Do we need somebody to tell us what's really happening? Or do we need someone that's just going to comment on what's happening in front of them? We don't need stories to be told to us. We've been told enough stories in the sport of boxing. This is ludicrous that this man is even requesting this. But what scares me about this is that the ABC, which is supposed to be in place to protect the fighters and protect the integrity of the sport of boxing, they may bend for this. Why? Because I'm starting to question the ABC and where their general focus is. It all stems back from an email that I wrote to the ABC myself about asking them and presenting an idea that I personally had where I could make boxing a lot more safe by doing one simple thing. And they shot it down because they felt that the cost may deter the promoter from doing it and therefore ultimately ruin the sport a little bit, when their focus on the protection for the fighter all of a sudden lost its value. So I'm starting to question the ABC. Please, email whoever you can. Spread it around on your website, on your Facebook page, through your email. Comment to me. I'll read it right here on this show, or actually on the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. Let me know your comments. Billy at TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. We need to keep the sport of boxing 3-minute rounds with a 60-second break. End of story. Don't let smoke screens by guys like Jonathan Miller change the way we watch our sport. That's all I got to say today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Ciao, baby.